Hey there, this is Daniel from WP103. Today we're gonna check out an event management plugin called Event Genius, and if it is as genius as the name suggests, we're gonna find out. Let's check it out. We're gonna start as always with installing the plugin itself, and right after activation we are getting redirected to this onboarding screen. And I'm not a huge fan of these type of onboarding screens because it interrupts the whole activation of multiple plugins. Let's continue and we can create our first event. Let's say party. We change the date with the date picker here, or we just punch in the numbers we want. Let's create event, and our first event is created. Great. Let's check it out in the front end, and it looks like that. There are a few things missing, so we're gonna just edit the event and see what we can add here. In the backend here, we can add a description for event. Very creative. We can modify the date and we can set different time zones. We can define it as an all-day event, so you don't need to punch in the time. We can set it as a repeat event, and that's a feature that is usually behind a pro version for most of the event calendars. So that's pretty neat that they have this just out of the box here. And you can define it then daily, weekly, monthly, or every weekday. We can define a location. Currently there are no locations, so let's just create one. It's like my garden. So we can add an image or like a photo of the venue. That's pretty handy. Let's just add this picture here. We can enter the address. For example, zip code, country. Also quite a lot of social media links. That's pretty good. Let's just add the website. And we can also create a new organizer, or we just leave it blank, but let's add an organizer. Also here you can add a photo or logo of the organizer. Let's just add our logo here. And you can give email, phone, and all the contact information. Then the cost of the event, let's say it costs $10, and we don't have any dollars here, so let's change that to euro. And you can modify the display text. You can move the amount, for example, before the symbol. And you can also maybe add some special characters, or you can, for example, say free for members. We can disable or enable the registration. It is usually by default this is enabled, so we just go with that. 30 seems fine. And we can also choose when the registration itself should be open and when it should close. So let's say it never closes and it immediately opens. We can also display an attendee list. This can be a little bit tricky, depends where exactly you are in terms of data privacy, so maybe don't show them to everyone or maybe only to logged in users. It depends a little bit. And there are some more pro features. Most of the pro features are regarding payments and stuff like that. We're not gonna collect any payments here. On the right hand side we have then the event itself. We can set a picture for it. Let's just choose the same picture here again. Then we can add some categories. Let's say that's a party. WordPress, and whatever tags you want to have here. Let's save that. So we can see here our custom pricing information. That's pretty nice that you can modify that. That's usually something other plugins, like other event plugins, don't allow you to do. So that's quite nice. We can see that the registration is available. We can see how long the event itself lasts for. we have the description, we have the venue and something about the organizer. And here we can also see our profile picture. That's quite nice. So let's click on the organizer, and here you see the upcoming events of that organizer. We have only one, so that's why it looks like that. If you want to register for an event, you can just do that with that register button, and you can add your details here. Let's do that. Let's submit. That was a success, and now we're getting an email to our inbox with a confirmation message. And we can see it updated the slots available, so we have 29 left now. We can also add the event to our personal calendar, Google Calendar, for example, or iCalendar. That's really handy. So let's add a few more events and see how this looks like. On the backend side itself, we have a new menu item here, and with a few sub-menu items. There's some information how to get the most out of the plugin. We don't need that at the moment, but that's for sure worth a read. And as you can see, we have a few events in here now, and a few of them are getting repeated, so they're like shown like that. So we cannot edit that event itself. We need to edit the parent event, or like the original event in that sense. We can switch between the grid view and the list view. And it's quite nice here in the grid view. You have a good overview also regarding the registrations. In the calendars tab, we can create new calendars. And here we can define, for example, that's a list view. We want to have a different color here to match our theme. We can also create some filters here to filter by specific categories or tags. We can define the view type, that's now list for this example. We can show the past, upcoming, or all events. We just leave that on upcoming. We can choose the sort order and also how many events per page. The toolbar has a few functions like search. We can you can see that here we can search by venue, by event itself. We can add the category tag and also the sort order to just have all the features here. Let's save that calendar. And I will show you later how to integrate this calendar on your website itself. Then in the calendar settings, you have also events. And here there are just the events displayed that will be shown in that calendar. So in the categories tab, we can then manage our categories. We can also see how many events are in these categories. In the tags, we can manage our tags. I'm using this now for bands. In the organizer, we can find all the organizers. Same for the venues. And you can also just edit them like any other post. The series is a pro feature, so we're not gonna check that out at the moment. Let's go to registrations. Here we have two things. We have the registrations itself, where you can see all the registrations that happened on your events, and the forms where you can modify this form. And I added here a new field that says I bring a friend. So this is also something that you can, some data that you can collect in. In the emails tab, we can set up our emails if they should be sent in the first place and what kind of information they should contain. And we have quite a lot of placeholders here that we can use. That's cool. And also there is a notification email they can send, and on cancel request email. So you can customize quite a lot, and that's really nice. In the settings itself, we can define when a registration should be confirmed. That is either manual review or after registration. Then we have some confirm messages, and we can also change the style of the button here. Let's go to the settings next, and here we can change some things like start of the week. We can also customize the slugs, and that's pretty cool if you want to change, for example, the tags to bands. We can then just say event band, and then the tag becomes bands. We can change the email address, just leave that for now. In the event settings itself, we can change the theme color here. We cannot change the event template since we are using the block editor. So that's only if you don't use the block editor. And then in the cost, you can define the currency and the cost display, so you don't have to change that in every event if you want to have a different currency, for example. If you enable live updates, then you're getting, well, live updates of how many slots are still available on a particular event. There is another registration tab. It's a little bit confusing why this is not under registration, since there is already a registration tab and it has also some settings. But anyhow, this is more like then per event as well. So we see this event capacity that we had also under events. So that's probably why it's here. We can also say we want to allow or disallow registration per default. And if we want to show the attendee list. The payment is a pro feature, so we're gonna not look into that. And here under text and translation, you can then edit some of the text. And so you can see I changed that already. That was originally tags and now it's bands. So we can make the tags to bands. And that's it for the settings. So let's add a calendar to our page. We go add page and we want to have a list now, right? List events or event list. Then we have the Event Genius calendar, and we can choose here between the default calendar, which is the month view now, and the list view, which gives us a list view. Let's publish that and have a look how it looks like in the front end. And it looks pretty much like in the backend, so that's really good. And we just open one of the events and everything looks quite right. We have the bands here instead of the tags. So if we click on that, we get all the events of that particular band or tag. What I noticed here, it's quite hard to style this page, because if we go on edit site here, it's an archive type, as you can see, and we can add a title here, but it doesn't display then the title itself. So I could add the featured image of the event, but there is no like event title or so. So that's what we're getting. We're getting the image, we're getting the date, categories and stuff like that, but we cannot get the name, or we can also not link the event itself. This comes a little bit more clear if we choose, like, for example, the metal category. And here you can see now the events listed, but yeah, there is no title to it and we cannot click on the picture. So that seems to be not quite finished here. So that doesn't work that great. Let's go then on Event Genius. That's a page I created earlier. And here you can see the month view. So we can also filter by venue. And if you change to the calendar list again, where we have all the options enabled here, you can also these amount of filters are usually something that is in a pro version of a plugin. And as always, the question, do you need the pro version? I would say no, except if you want to collect the payments directly via the website, then you would need it. Under the hood, we're getting a very clean code. It's very well structured and it looks really good. We have great developer support. There are almost 100 filters and almost 80 action hooks available for developers, so that's really, really good. It runs really smooth, and in the front end there are 5 scripts included and 1 CSS. That's okay. Looking at the support page, we have many solved cases here, and people seem to be very happy about how fast the developer also reacts to problems and questions and helps them to get this thing running. So that's really good. What I like about the plugin is it has a lot of features which are included in the free versions. That's really great. And it feels very native and integrates very well with the Gutenberg editor. It feels fast and responsive, and it offers a lot of customization options. You can also add a calendar via shortcode if you're using Elementor or another page builder. So the only really thing to complain about at this moment is that the whole category and tag view is seems a little bit unfinished. But other than that, I would definitely recommend to check that out. Have you tried the plugin already? Which is your favorite event calendar plugin? Let me know in the comments below, and I catch you in the next one.